Good morning, all. Suburban Sentinel here, coming to you once again from very deep inside the Arabian Peninsula on our fifth consecutive gloomy and rainy day, which is practically apocalyptic around here. Anyway, I figured I would do a second installment of cultural exchange. In the first episode, some of the natives were asking me questions about me and American culture. And of course, I had questions for them. Again, I'm sorry this is done on a cell phone for reasons that I won't go into right now. I am not allowed to have a camera or a video camera. So I'm just going to do this during my normal routine or errands I have this morning. First thing you'll notice, I don't know if you can see that on the video, but it is 14 degrees Celsius out here, which is about 58 degrees, which is like the equivalent of 40 below zero back home out here in the desert. So take a little ride, and the first question I had thought of is why, I don't know if you can see that too well, why are there bars on all the windows? That was kind of an interesting phenomenon that I saw. Every residential building has bars on all the windows. If you can see that too well. Maybe we'll pass by the birdcage house, at least what I call the birdcage house. And I asked the locals, several locals, why are there bars on all the windows? And quite frankly, I have not gotten a definitive answer. I've gotten a variety of answers, in fact. One was it's to keep out burglars, which would make perfect sense, except that burglary and crime in general is virtually unheard of here. And in addition, nobody really locks their doors. So why have bars on the windows if your doors are going to be open? I'm going to pull over here. This is an interesting house. I call this the birdcage house. I don't know if you can see that too well. But they have this really ornate front window. Okay, so that was one explanation. Burglars. All right, there is a degree of logic to that. The second explanation I've heard, you can see all of these up here, is that it is to keep baboons out. And yes, there are wild baboons around here, and they can be quite dangerous. But what doesn't really jive with that explanation is the wild baboons are really in a confined area in the mountains outside of town, and you see these bars on the windows just about everywhere. So again, there's a degree of logic to it, but I don't know. Third explanation I've heard is that it's to keep women in. I guess in the old days they locked their women inside their homes to make sure they did not escape. And I guess that maybe that practice continues. That's a third explanation I've heard. And the fourth, which seems the most plausible explanation, is that that's just the way they do things. They've been doing it for decades and decades and decades, and it's just custom. And no one even thinks about it. And that makes sense to me. So let's move on to our next question, but I'm going to have to stop this because I'm on the road here. Driving here is extremely hazardous. All right, I'm kind of pulled over here on the back road, making and taking some phone calls. So let me continue this little video right now. Another question I had for the natives concerns car safety, or more specifically, the lack thereof. Nobody, and I mean nobody, at least among the natives, uses seat belts, and child car seats are unheard of. And I asked a couple of trusted friends, why? Why do you do that? Or not use these modern safety items? And two concurrent explanations. One, of course, is men do most of the driving, actually in this case, all of the driving. And using seatbelts is a sign of cowardice. And more importantly, the other explanation is that safety devices are not used because if you are in an accident, injured or killed, it's God's will. In other words, there's nothing you could do or should do to prevent it. It's just the way things are. And I disagree with that philosophy, but that's how they do it here, and I respect their culture. They have the modern safety equipment in the cars, they just don't use them. In most cases, people will buckle the seatbelt and then cut the webbing out. It's the way it goes. Again, I don't do that, but that's the culture. Okay, another errand for the day is taking care of the feral cat colony outside my office. So I'll get this done. The third question I had, probably the most fascinating, regards polygamy. Around here, a man can have up to 4 wives. Hey, little boy. 4 wives. The reverse is not true. A woman can only have 1 husband. And that is, of course, much different than our culture. And I asked a very knowledgeable and trusted friend as to why they do this. And his explanation makes perfect sense. In centuries past in Bedouin society, the lifespan of the typical adult male was rather abbreviated, and the norm, it would be substantially shorter than the lifespan of the females. And I guess that was due to work-related injuries in Bedouin agrarian type societies, and the fact that tribal warfare was very common. So the whole concept of having more than one wife was kind of social engineering. They didn't want to have women and children suffer and starve because their husband had died or been killed in warfare. So they encouraged men to have more than one wife so that the women and children would be taken care of in the event that their first husband met an untimely death. Hi, buddy. All these cats have been spayed or neutered and vaccinated, which is quite a chore around here because the nearest veterinarian, at least the one I know of, is about 700 miles away. So these cats are quite the project. Anyway, so that is a brief, unscripted, unedited version of the cultural exchange for today. I have a hell of a lot more material. I have had multiple requests to keep doing these, and if you want to see it, I'll keep doing it. Again, this is the Suburban Sentinel. Please thumbs up, share, and subscribe if you like what you see. Questions, enlightening comments, differing opinions, both human and feline, are always welcome. Be safe back there, everybody.